Hi everyone. I'm Vandana Verma, and this is the first session for a day in the life of an entrepreneur. And we have a very special guest with us, and her name is Shivangi Nadkarni. She's the co-founder and CEO for Arca Consulting. When we talk about her contribution in the industry, she's been empowering organizations to address their risk, which are associated with information security. And needless to say, she's one amazing person who's been catering to the privacy big time. And also, if I talk about her latest achievements in her section, especially around privacy, she's on the advisory board of IAPP Asia, which is International Association of Privacy Professional, which is one of the largest and leading body for matters of data privacy. So let me welcome Shivangi to the first ever A Day in the Life of an Entrepreneur. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Vandana, and such a privilege that I'm the first one for you. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot to learn from you. And as you were asking that why did we start this, or a personal motive in that, wherein I would love to learn from you how exactly you started off, or if I have to put it this way, if you can tell us a bit about the venture Arca, how exactly it started.
Okay. So I was in the industry much like you for a long time. That's when I picked up my interest in security and started working on it. For many reasons, I actually spent a long time, about 10 years of my career with SIFI, which back then it was a startup when the word startup was not being used. And I say I grew up in SIFI, and that was a very entrepreneurial venture. So I realized that that's something which I really enjoy doing, and so I said, let me try and do something on my own. So I quit my corporate job. The first two things I did failed. Then about 8 years ago, I met my current co-founder Samir Anja. He had just quit his job with KPMG, and we said let's align forces and do something which is different, in this sector. So for the first 2 3 years, we kind of meandered, is the word I like to use, because we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do. We were very clear we didn't want to do the traditional SI business. We didn't want to do the traditional services business. And while we were doing that, two things happened. We started working with several small and mid-sized companies, basically companies of friends, friends of friends, saying, help us, let's say, set up basic security practices, so on, and different requirements. On the other, in parallel, we sort of started working in the area of privacy, where I was kind of, on a lark, I kind of got into this field thanks to another stalwart in this industry, Sunil Varki, who said, you must look at this and this is going to be interesting and so on. And I took an IPP exam the first time it was happening here, just on a lark. And then DSCI was starting up, and Dr. Bajaj, their first CEO, called me to do some work for them. And that's where our privacy journey began. So, on one hand, we were, for the longest in privacy, our only client was DSCI. We helped them develop DCPLA as a certification, then DCPP, for which I got to author the book of knowledge, the textbook. And then, we slowly started growing that practice. In parallel, while we were working with small and mid-sized companies, we realized many things. One is that, the top, like let's say the about 90-95% of the talent in the industry, especially in the consulting, field, and the expert level talent, is busy servicing the top 5% organizations. And this is not just in India, globally. But what do the rest do? Skilling is one way, but that's not going to solve the problem completely, right? And automation was a no brainer, so to say. So we said, let's try and figure out how we kind of sort that problem out using automation. So to cut a long story short, we started building the Arca platform, and we combined our experience with security, privacy, and so now what we have is the Arca privacy management platform, which basically enables organizations to assess, implement, and manage their privacy and security programs online. It's like a SaaS platform, and we kind of use that platform, using which we basically work as outsource CISOs or as DPOs for organizations. Plus, basically shortly opening up the platform for free use for SMBs. So that's where we are overall.
Wow, that's really really incredible. And I know it's a long journey, a lot of learning, a lot of people guided, and uh, there's so much which has gone behind it. So, can you please tell me how exactly your typical day looks like? Like how
Oh,
how do you start the day?
so I'm a planner. So I make long to-do lists, and I plan my calendar as much as I can to the last 5 minutes. And so I typically day is spread between operational issues. I do a lot of the client-facing work, so a lot of engaging with clients for business development, as well as existing clients, internal reviews, and so on. I try and dedicate at least 30 minutes to an hour every day to just keep up with what is going on in the industry. And I'm sure you do that as well. You're from the sector, right? It's just to keep in the running. You have to keep running to stand in the same spot, so to say. So I try and do that. And before you know it, the day is over, and I'm usually just not even halfway through my to-do list for the day, and then it goes on. So, but it's fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to do the work, but I'm sure there are some concerns when you start the day. There are things that actually keeps you awake. Okay, now I have to address this thing today. I have to address. So, what are those challenges that you face, like which are in general for an entrepreneur?
See, there are entrepreneurial challenges. They don't go away, but I'm a glass half full kind of person. So I kind of, at some point you just surrender and, know that the universe is going to give you a solution, so to say. There's no point worrying, right? To be very specific and pragmatic, yes, challenges are always there. Challenges of ensuring that you stand up to your commitments. You have to ensure that your team keeps performing, especially in the current scenario where you can't really see anybody face to face and get to interact, right? It has its own set of challenges. And then there is the usual, cash flow. Cash is always a problem. So how do you manage? How do you ensure you have enough to pay your meet your monthly expenses, and to grow the company? So all of that, it's all one big package, so to say. And the trick is to just keep going, and not dwell too much on the negatives, I would say, or the challenges.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think when we see the uh, half full side, we are motivated towards making sure that it's becoming full,
Yeah.
and we are striving towards the positive.
Correct, correct. And I think all of us who work in this industry, somewhere it is beyond your just the work, it is beyond that. It is about contributing to a larger whole, because we all have to do what we can to keep the world, secure, ensure privacy, all of that. So sometimes those larger sort of, goals is what also keeps folks going. At least, definitely, Samir, my co-founder, and I look at it from that perspective.
Yeah, that's an incredible thing. And data privacy is something which is becoming the key for any organization, for any country, because we are talking about data privacy bills, acts, and even India is coming up with its own data privacy bill, which is like the talk of the town these days.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. it's changing the fundamentals of business in many ways.
Yeah. So, uh, around the same lines, if you're teaching or if you are sharing your knowledge with your mentees or your juniors, what would be the three lessons which you would want to impart them based on your experience that you have as an entrepreneur?
Well, um, so the first thing I would say is that be open and flexible. You know, all of us as human beings tend to sometimes box ourselves into boundaries. You know, we say, "Oh, this is my background. This is what I have studied. This is what I have, worked in, and therefore this is what I should do, and this is where I should be in, 5 years, in 2 years, and so on." In the process, we often miss out on opportunities around us which come at you from different angles. So I always tell people, be open and be flexible. I wasn't, the first few years of my life I was very boxed in, and I was very lucky to have mentors who sort of broke those barriers. And also because I worked in a startup environment where you don't have the luxury of too much of structure, I think that combination. But I think I'm richer as a person and as an individual thanks to that. So that's one thing I definitely would say. Second is persist. There isn't, nothing comes overnight. There is, this fallacy of overnight success is a fallacy. You have to stay at it, no matter how, what, no matter, there'll be times when you'll want to sort of, give up. But I feel nothing is impossible for anybody. Just that you have to stay put, stay the course, remove all the distractions, and you will get to where you want to go. Maybe you'll not get, you may have planned a goal, but you may end up somewhere else which is even brighter and more lucrative. But stay put, work hard, stay the course. That's the second thing I would say. The third is, what I call attention to detail. You just have to pay attention to detail. As they say, the devil is in the detail, but the angel is also in the detail. So pay attention to detail at all times. Yeah, I think these three things I would probably recommend.
Yeah, what a beautiful advice. And I think I'm going to pick a lot of things from it. There are a few things I am doing right now, but it's a long way to go. So I have a lot to learn. And I am sure whosoever is listening to this, they will get benefited out of it. Especially the point which you mentioned, look at the details. Devil is there in the detail. Like people say that I have a devil's advocate eye. So I am sure that when you said angel is there, that's also equally important. People have to look from that perspective.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing a
Exactly.
fabulous job, Vandana. So I'm sure you will also have lots to contribute to everybody.
So I would say right now I have a lot to learn from you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you so much, ma'am. It was such a wonderful discussion and speaking with you. Looking forward to many more learnings and discussions with you.
Thank you, and likewise, it goes both ways. I think I learn a lot from every interaction, and wish you all the best. Continue, paving the path that you are, and continue shining. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us today.